A city survived the longest siege in modern history, then came back as the most beautiful place you have never heard of. Its streets still carry the scars of war, yet the people walk them, dressed like royalty, and travelers call its women some of the most gorgeous in Europe. This is where East meets West on a single street, where the First World War began on one small bridge. The poorest corner of the continent just crowned the #1 destination on Earth. This is Sarajevo. Here are 15 mind-blowing facts about the city the world forgot, and the grace it learned to grow from its own wounds. Sarajevo lies in a narrow valley about 1,700 feet above the sea, which is roughly 518 meters, ringed on nearly every side by mountains of the Dinaric Alps, Trebević, Bjelašnica, Jahorina. A small river, the Miljaka, runs through the middle, flowing east to west before it joins the river Bosna. Wherever you stand in the old town, you are looking up at a green hillside. You are always at the bottom of something. Those beautiful hills leaning over the city are the reason a war here would one day become so deadly. When you sit in a valley, everyone above you can see you. For now, look at what those hills have held. Sarajevo is the one place in Europe where the Ottoman East and the Austro-Hungarian West meet on the same pavement. Walk one way and you are in a copper-domed Ottoman bazaar called Başçarşıya. Turn around and you are on grand European avenues of stone. On the street called Ferhadija, a marker set into the ground reads, Sarajevo, Meeting of Cultures. Stand on it, and the paving stones change color beneath your feet. Pale on the Ottoman side, dark gray on the Austro-Hungarian side. One step between two civilizations. At noon, the sound says the same thing. Church bells ring out at the same moment as the call to prayer, braided into what locals call the sound of Sarajevo. This is a small country about the size of West Virginia, but this one valley holds more history than nations 10 times its size. So, before we go on, tell me something. This is a city built where the world meets. So where in the world are you watching from? Go ahead and drop your city or even your country below. We'd love to know. There is a reason travelers keep saying it. The people of Sarajevo, and the women especially, are strikingly beautiful. And you know, that beauty is not an accident. It's history you can see in a face. Just think about who has passed through this valley. Native Illyrian and Slavic peoples, then 400 years of Ottoman rule, then the Austro-Hungarians. Each left more than just buildings. They left bloodlines, features, and a sense of style that blends the East and the West. The same way the streets do. What you're looking at is not some magazine standard of beauty. It's the elegance of a genuine crossroads, worn with quiet confidence. And, honestly, confidence is the right word, because the way people carry themselves here is its own kind of fact. On streets like Ferhadija and the leafy Zeleni Boulevard, you will see men and women dressed with real care. Sharp coats, good posture, unhurried coffee outdoors, even on an ordinary weekday. Hold that image too. In a few minutes, it is going to collide with something that makes no sense at all. You can even hear the mixing in people's names. In the same family, in the same friend group, you will meet an Amina and a Sarah, an Ahmed and a David. Muslim and Christian names side by side, worn without a second thought. After everything this place has been through, those names are a quiet act of coexistence, 500 years in the making. In spring, pink and white cherry blossoms fill the parks, and the whole city softens. Here is the strange part, and I want you to remember it until the end. This soulful, elegant city was once written off by the world completely, and how it came back will genuinely surprise you. If a video like this deserves more eyes, tap the hype button below. Each hype only lasts a few seconds, but it helps this reach more people. We would be grateful. Merak comes from a Turkish root, and there is no clean English word for it. The closest we get is this: the deep joy of something small. A coffee with a friend that has no reason to end. A song. An hour in the sun doing nothing useful at all. Merak is not a reward you earn after the work is done. Here, it is the point of the day, which raises an obvious question. Why would a place with real economic hardship treasure slowness this much? The answer is, honestly, almost the reverse of what we assume. When you cannot buy your way to a good life, you learn to taste the one you already have. You can hear that same feeling in the local music called sevda or sevdalinka. These are old, aching folk songs about love and longing. The word traces back to a Turkish word for the yearning of love. In late 2024, sevda was added to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. That's a formal acknowledgement that this melancholy sound is something the world should protect. Joy and sorrow in the same song. That is very Sarajevo. The heart of all this slowness is Başçarşıya, the old bazaar, founded in 1462 by Isa Beg Ishakovic, the man credited with founding Sarajevo itself. At its peak in the 17th century, it held more than 1,000 shops and over 80 crafts. The name just means the main market. Sit there today with a coffee in a marketplace more than 5.5 centuries old, and notice, one small thing. Most of these shops still take only cash. No cards, no apps. Keep that detail in your pocket. It is about to explain a paradox. And nowhere is Merrick more sacred than over a tiny copper pot that has been steaming in this city for 500 years. Here is the fact that catches people off guard. Bosnia sits among the very top coffee-drinking nations on Earth per person, usually somewhere around the top 10 in the world. That is remarkable for a country most people cannot place on a map. But the number is not really the point. The ritual is. This is not coffee to go. There is no paper cup, no rushing out the door. Bosnian coffee arrives the old Ottoman way, brewed in a small copper pot called a sezve, poured slowly, and served with a cube of sugar and a piece of rose-flavored Turkish delight on the side. The tradition arrived with the Ottomans in the 16th century and never left. And the coffee is really just an excuse. The point is the sitting, the hours, the talk, the being together. It is merak you can hold in your hands. Now, here is where it gets almost unfair for the rest of us. In Sarajevo, a cappuccino runs about $1.90. A full meal at a simple local place is around $9. So, you can sit for an entire afternoon, cup after cup, in a 500-year-old marketplace for less than the price of a single latte and a sandwich back home. Royalty on a budget. And that phrase, royalty on a budget, is about to become the whole mystery of this city. Sip that coffee and look up. Because within a few hundred feet of your table, Sarajevo can show you something almost no other city on earth can. Stand in the old center and turn slowly in a circle. Within about 300 yards of one spot, you can see a mosque, a Catholic cathedral, an Orthodox church, and a synagogue. 4 faiths, 4 houses of worship, one small stretch of street. There are very few places on the planet where that is true. It is why people call Sarajevo the Jerusalem of Europe. And this is not a museum arrangement staged for tourists. These communities have lived side by side here for around 500 years. The Grand Gazi Husrev Beg Mosque, one of the finest Ottoman buildings in the whole country, was finished back in 1530, and it has had neighbors of other faiths almost the entire time. Now, a correction worth making because a lot of videos get this wrong, and locals will call it out. Sarajevo is not the capital of some strictly Muslim nation. A slight majority, around 51%, are Muslim. The country is roughly half Bosniak, with large Serb and Croat communities. The identity of this place is coexistence, not a single faith. Getting that right is the difference between describing Sarajevo and understanding it. The best proof sits in a museum here. It is the Sarajevo Haggadah, a Jewish manuscript from around the 14th century illustrated by hand. Through war after war, it was hidden and protected at key moments by neighbors of entirely different faiths, including a Muslim scholar who risked his life to save it. A Jewish book guarded by Muslim and Christian hands for centuries. That is the real religion of Sarajevo. Look closely at these 4 houses of worship. They survived something the modern world believed was no longer possible. You will see what I mean very soon. Now walk down to a small, ordinary-looking bridge over the Miljacka River. It is called the Latin Bridge. And on a single morning, a few steps from where you are standing, the modern world was set on fire. On the 28th of June, 1914, a young man named Gavrilo Princip stepped forward and killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, along with his wife. That one act pulled a tripwire that had been stretched tight across Europe for years. Within weeks, alliance dragged an alliance, and the continent fell into the First World War. A war that would pull in dozens of nations and take millions of lives. Sit with the strangeness of that. A quiet street corner in a small Balkan city changed the map of the entire world. The empires that had shaped Sarajevo, Ottoman and Austro-Hungarian, both fell apart in the wreckage of the war that started right here. The corner is a museum now, one of the first stops on almost every tour, always crowded with people photographing a spot where history detonated. This city does not just live through history, sometimes it makes it first. So, let me ask you while we stand on this bridge, of everything you have seen of Sarajevo so far, what has surprised you the most about Sarajevo? Tell me below. Because here is another time Sarajevo got there before almost anyone else. On the 3rd of May, 1895, this city put an electric tram into daily service, built with technology from Siemens. That made Sarajevo the first city in Europe to run an electric tram line all day long. It had already been running horse-drawn trams since 1885. So, when the electric line opened, this small valley city was moving people around by electricity, while most of the great capitals of Europe were still deciding whether to bother. Now, a careful word because this fact often gets stretched too far. Sarajevo was not the very first city in Europe with any electric tram at all. It was the 4th city in the Austro-Hungarian Empire to get one. What made it first was the all-day service. And the reason it happened is quietly fascinating. Under Austro-Hungarian rule, Sarajevo became a kind of testing ground, a laboratory city where the empire tried out its newest ideas at the far edge of its territory. So, it turned modern surprisingly early, almost by experiment. The best part? Those old trams still rattle through the city today, curving past the Ottoman Bazaar, shaking the buildings a little as they pass. A 19th century experiment still running its route in the 21st. Hop off that tram hungry though, and Sarajevo is about to ruin every kebab you have ever eaten. Let us talk about the food, because this is where the whole country quietly shows off.